Welcome to another episode of our personal empowerment audio program, Finding Yourself in Paradise. Hi, I'm Michael Benner.
And I'm Steve Snyder, and today we're going to explore a deeper level of consciousness. We talk about the alpha brainwave state, often that state in between awake and asleep, which is actually much closer to awake. Well, today we're going to explore the theta brainwave state, also in that range between awake and asleep, but in this case, much closer to asleep.
Really, really deep. You know, every once in a while, if you're an experienced meditator or contemplator, you just like the pleasure of going to this wonderful, relaxed, safe alpha place, even if it's not a formal meditation or has nothing to do with spirituality. Lots of folks know the experience. And then there is that other experience of, whoa, I was really deep. Let's talk about the differences. First of all, how is alpha different from beta? I think that's a good place to begin. What is beta? That's our normal waking state.
Beta is our normal waking state, although I think it's important to point out it's not our natural waking state. That is, it's pretty recent in human history that we normally were in the state of confusion and anxiety and tension and stress. That's the beta state. Beta is where you're dividing your attention. There's some anxiety going on, some tension in the body, a bunch of stuff happening, usually 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things going on back and forth in what we call multitasking, but you're not actually doing them all at once. You're just going back and forth between a bunch. That's a state that used to be reserved for danger. You know, it used to be reserved for people who were facing life-threatening situations. But now it seems people are living much of the time out of focus in that divided attention, multitasking beta brainwave state.
Yeah, we're not in real danger, not compared to our ancestors being constantly in danger. We've pretty much domesticated the law of the jungle. But now there's a different kind of jungle out there, and it's a jungle where the danger, so-called, is not a matter of survival, but a matter of performance. We're confused. We're easily distracted. Steve said it, multitasking. And, you know, although it's very stressful, some people feel it as excitement, and they actually enjoy the adrenaline rush, along with a cup of coffee and a Red Bull on top of that. And they get over-caffeinated, and the excitement and enthusiasm, you know, if you love what you do, stress is not so stressful. But if you continue to do that, if you don't have any breaks, even doing what you love to do a lot can be stressful. You need variety, and you need to take a time out. And that's why exploring these states, alpha and theta, between this awake, multitasking, easily distracted state, and delta, which is the deep non-dream state of unconsciousness or coma, we're going to talk about those in-between states. And then instead of alpha journey to paradise, we're going to do our paradise thinking in theta. And you'll see the difference, that really deep experience that we're talking about. We'll describe that more. So, Steve, when you go from normal awake or multitasking or being overstimulated, stressed, anxious, excited even in a positive way, to an alpha level, what do you look for? What kind of markers? How do you know you're doing it? And how do you do it? And what evidence do you have that you look for that you're succeeding?
Well, for me, it always starts at the most primal place, which is the breath. You know, it's like if I can stop and pay attention to one slow, conscious, deep breath, that is, not think about anything but the fact that I'm taking this breath and this is how it feels going in and this is how it feels going out. If I do that, I know I go out of a divided attention mode because I'm totally paying attention to that breath. As I take that breath, what I note is, and not really with words, but with a kinesthetic awareness, just a body awareness, what I note as I take that breath is that within all my muscles, tension diminishes. Now, in some cases, it totally is eliminated. I feel like a noodle. In some cases, if I was kind of tense, it just relaxes some. But there's a significant drop in how much physical tension my body's holding. I'm not saying this in words. I'm just getting it. At the same time, that pit of the stomach anxiety feeling that sometimes you have, especially when you're confused and all those kinds of things going on, that virtually is eliminated. There's a calmness, there's a sense of peace of mind and restfulness in my gut. My gut's not churning. It's with that deep breath, the anxiety diminishes. And then the other thing I notice consciously is that I'm focused. I'm not confused. I'm not thinking about a bunch of things. I'm only thinking about this breath and that it feels good. So for me, it's a physical, mental, and emotional awareness that comes to my mind. Physically, a diminishment of my physical stress replaced by relaxation, a sense of anxiety abating replaced by a sense of calmness, and confusion and all that stuff going away replaced by a sense of clarity and peace of mind. It's pretty wonderful. And that's the alpha state. Now, I do that every day. In fact, I do that every time I take a drink of water. I take a sip of water, and that's my trigger to close my eyes and take a deep breath and go to my peaceful place, my beautiful, tranquil meadow that I invented in my mind 50 years ago. I've been doing this since I was 8 years old, and I've always had this same beautiful, beautiful meadow. I've added to it over the years. It used to be a static picture of a single picture of a meadow, then it turned into a moving picture of the meadow, and then it turned into a picture of a meadow that changes seasons and times of day, and all that. And then it changed into a meadow that had all that, but added to the beautiful meadow. When I moved to Maui, I added this beautiful rainbow that's over my meadow, to make Maui part of that. So yeah, it can change a little bit, but basically I have this doorway into this alpha state, and I close my eyes every time I take a drink of water, go to my peaceful place, take that deep breath, and I feel myself unwind. Now, when I want to go down into the theta state, the process becomes more purposeful, more conscious. It's not somewhat automatic. The alpha thing's automatic. When I want to go to theta, I have to take myself down there. What I have to do is one of several different kinds of ways. I could do it physically by progressively relaxing my body from my toes all the way up to my top of my head. I could do it by counting backwards as I'm imagining myself walking downstairs or going down in an elevator. Or I could just, as I often do, tell myself that with every breath I exhale, I'm going even deeper still.
So it's really more of the same. It's more allowing and more permitting. I think that's a good point we need to make, too. You said as much, but let's underscore that. This is less an effort or something that you force yourself to do or make yourself do. It's mostly an allowing.
It's the opposite of effort because essentially it's just falling asleep. It's falling asleep and catching yourself before you get all the way there.
And paying attention as you slow that descent into sleep. Because, if you're really tired, falling asleep could be, I've fallen asleep in the middle of a sentence before talking to
That was my sentence, too.
And yet to slow the descent. So the deepening exercise is a good idea, to think of yourself as going down for whatever reason we fall asleep. There is a feeling in our bodies, you called it kinesthetic, of relaxation and letting go, and these slower brainwave levels being somehow deeper. In fact, we even use that word, deeper, more relaxed. And so in addition to that feeling of walking down the stairs, if we say to ourselves, though silently and internally, I'm going deeper with every step, feeling safer and more relaxed, deeper and deeper, feel the letting go, and then slow that down as you do it. This is something I learned from you, Steve. As you do a relaxation exercise, and then in particular the deepening exercise that could take you the rest of the way from alpha into theta, slow it down, slow your cadence down, expand the spaces between your words, convey with tone of voice. And again, this is the voice inside your head that you're listening to, right? We're talking about a silent narration. If you were to do this professionally, like Steve and I, it's tone of voice in a literal sense. But even inside your head, as you do this silent narrative, you want to sort of slow it down as you go deeper and deeper, because you're approaching sleep and yet you want to maintain just enough awareness to stay just this side of sleep. It's like a skyscraper or tall building where we sleep in the basement or the first floor, and we're awake in the top 5 or 6 floors. But look at all these floors in between, and not only places where we could stop the elevator between awake and asleep, but then move out laterally and begin to explore these dimensions of mind.
So in taking ourselves deeper, I think that inner voice and also inner pictures and also inner tactile sensations, the sensory imagination, all 5 of the senses, and the 6th sense even, intuition can come into play here. As you imagine yourself going deeper, you change yourself so that you are more sleepy, so that you are more rested, so that you feel, so your voice becomes much slower, and in your mind your breathing becomes more relaxed. We'll do it for you. You'll get the idea, but understand that as you leave more space between words, and as the words are said more slowly, then the mind isn't quite as bombarded with data. You're slowing down the amount of information, and as you do that, that's what your mind wants to go to sleep to, is less and less information. So that's basically how you play it.
Let me say also, you're also dilating time. This is another way to look at it, which replicates the phenomena of being in these levels of time. I mean, just as a watched pot never boils, the lower the stimulus to the brain as we close our eyes, meditate, or go to these contemplative places, you definitely experience time slowing down, going slower and slower. And yet, paradoxically, when you then open your eyes, you may find the time actually went a lot faster than you thought it did. And so these are paradoxes. One of the first things I noticed when I began to meditate 35 years ago was this relative nature of time, that it seems to expand and contract like so many things in life, that it's not this perfectly linear, logarithmic cadence time, but rather a matter of perception, really.
Yeah, and the way you look at meditation is the whole key to it, because so many people think, well, I can't meditate because I can't slow down my mind, when actually what you do is you meditate and your mind slows down. You don't have to slow down your mind to meditate. Meditation is what you do to slow down your mind. So for so many people, the problem comes in right in the beginning when they try to slow down their mind. What happens is they're letting the mind that needs to be in charge here, the one that is the higher consciousness, the one that's outside and above and watching, that the one that's saying to you that you're safe and it's not worried or nervous, all that stuff's turning off. That voice can come through with feelings of love and compassion. That voice can come through. The problem is that the ego voice, the conscious mind, is thinking, oh, I could do this better than that. I could come up with a better way of it. I could come up with a better idea. I could come up with a better image. I could come up with a better peaceful place. And it's that thinking mind that thinks it knows better than the intuitive mind. That's the one that gets in the way. So whenever the thinking mind thinks, oh, I could do this better than it's just naturally feeling to do, then understand that this is a time when your thoughts are wrong. Sometimes your thoughts are right and sometimes your thoughts are wrong. When you're dealing with your feelings, if you think something, it doesn't know as much about your feelings as it thinks it does. You need to just trust your intuition. So that means if you're saying, I want to know how to best meditate, and your mind says, just focus on your breathing. And then your thinking goes, oh, wait a minute, I know about this mantra thing. I know about... Let the first thought that pops in your mind, that one that feels right, that one that feels like an aha, like an intuitive, like I know, that came with a sense of confirmation along with it. I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to get myself involved in paralysis by analysis.
It is funny, the mind, the brain, the mental nature always has an argument. No matter how you feel or what thought preceded it, there's an argument to follow.
No, there isn't.
There you go. Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
It's interesting to me. I've seen it in my own relationship. I see it now in others as well, where people who know each other well, especially couples, partners, married people, begin to unconsciously adopt the polarities, the arguments, that each of us had inside our heads before we met that person.
They become the mirror of ourselves and let us manifest what's going on inside here, outside there.
Yeah, they take one of the sides, obviously, in the argument.
You could have taken either one, and they'd have taken the other.
Yeah, and you get frustrated and defensive because, wait a minute, I've already got a voice yelling that in my head, I don't need you to reinforce that. I've got this, and that's why, our past wounds cause us to feel really criticized. This is a benefit of going to alpha and also to theta, is to be sensitive to feelings that you can then release, immediately release. The amount of tension, muscular tension, most of it caused by emotional trauma throughout your life, some of it really old, that you can release in alpha is significant. But to allow yourself to really go limp is to allow yourself to feel the way you feel, to, how can I say it, let your feelings have their way with you, your emotional feelings and your physical feelings. You sort of turn yourself over and allow yourself to feel vulnerable. Now, that might be a little scary at first, and a reason some people don't like meditation. I mean, what's the resistance to sit quietly for 10 or 20 minutes doing absolutely nothing but feeling really good and thinking positive thoughts? Oh, no, don't make me do that, right? Right. Where's the resistance? The resistance is you get more sensitive and you begin to feel more vulnerable, and it's not a familiar feeling for a lot of people. And yet, if we allow ourselves, just like easing yourself into a cold swimming pool in the springtime, you go in a little bit at a time. Allow yourself a little bit at a time to feel that vulnerability and to become sensitive to old stresses and tension. Some of them will take negative voices and bubble up into your awareness as what might seem like a thought, but it's actually a very old feeling. Sometimes pictures will come up. And while it's true that deep massage and deep muscle tissue work can do the same thing, it's nice to know that simply putting your attention on a feeling and allowing yourself to let go of it, maybe even to breathe into it as you feel the letting go, allowing yourself to feel that vulnerability and face that little scary feeling, well, it just bubbles up and goes away. That's the beauty of it. And the more you expose yourself to that which is unfamiliar and might be a little bit scary, the better and better and better you get with realizing that that can be released. And what's on the other side is happy, happy, joy, joy. You just are right back to this wonderful feeling of peace and safety and contentment. It's really an odd feeling. And literature is full of these examples. This is Alice going down the rabbit hole. She doesn't drop down the rabbit hole and smash on the bottom. She just sort of floated down and had time to take a book off the shelf and flip through it on the way down, put it back on the shelf as she's drifting deeper, safer, feel the letting go, more and more relaxed.
I remember 30 years ago when we first met, we were talking about going into these deeper states, and you were saying, I remember you told me that what always popped up for you was the fear somebody was either going to steal your wallet or hit you in the stomach, and I'm thinking, like, for most people, something pops into your head that says, wait a minute, don't let go, don't surrender, don't give up, don't fall off to sleep. That's why that insomnia for so many people. That don't give up control. Don't let go.
Don't feel safe.
Don't feel safe. Yeah, because if I feel safe, then I'm not watching out for danger, and then I'm not safe. So there's this whole argument that goes on, and what we need to do is not try and stop that voice because it's going to have its say. What we need to do is not encourage it. When that voice that says, "Oh, I know a better way to do this," comes up, you essentially say thanks and let that voice go. the secret is to bring your attention back to what you want to pay attention to. It's not to try to not pay attention to something, because you can't do that. What you can do is pay attention to something else instead. So if you want to find a way to go deeper, and you ask yourself, what's a good way for me to go deeper? And you close your eyes, and the first thing that pops up to your mind is the idea of going down in an elevator. Then this voice pops up and says, oh, wait a minute, I read about this other way. Ignore that. Thank you, and go with the elevator, because your intuition knows more about your subconscious mind. It comes from there than your thoughts do, which could really come from your conscious mind. So when it comes time to shut off that voice that's nagging you, or that voice you can't seem to turn off, you don't try and turn it off. You focus on the voice or the breathing or the mantra or the picture or the peaceful place that you want to focus on. And if your mind goes off, you go, okay. What you don't want to do is, oh, I'm blowing it, because that puts the energy out there. You just pay as little attention as possible and then bring your attention back to where you want to be.
We were talking about the deepening from alpha to theta using a technique like walking downstairs or a staircase you just mentioned. Years ago, I visited Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, and when you go into a cave like that, you tend to spiral your way down deeper and deeper and deeper, and then down at the bottom, besides a cafeteria, which is odd, about 800 feet under the ground, there's an express elevator to take you out, but you had to walk down. Nobody gets to take the elevator down, unless they work in the cafeteria, I guess. By the way, if you ever get a chance to visit Carlsbad, I've been to a lot of caves, Mammoth in Kentucky, and a lot of cool caves, and there's nothing quite like Carlsbad Caverns. It's remarkable. So that's an image I have. But, another one that works for me, Steve, and I believe this is a really old meditation. I've heard of it being used in the East from time out of mind. And when I first read it, it was like lard in the sunshine, feel the letting go. It's almost like you allow yourself to melt. And I don't say lard in the sunshine. I now say, butter on a warm day, feel the softening,
Yeah, not even melting so much, but like softening is a much better metaphor.
More than melting.
Like muscles do, they just soften under massage.
Because you don't want to change form. You're not a shapeshifter. You just want to feel that melting feeling. Some people use sort of a ragdoll feeling that I'm sitting straight but not rigid. I'm just nicely balanced. And you think of the spine being in perfect alignment and creating a path of least resistance. So all of these different images, along with, albeit silent, an internal narrative around safer, more relaxed, remember the breathing that we talked about. I think essentially there's three things to look at when we go to alpha or theta, and that's the slow, deep breathing that Steve began with, closing your eyes, and then the release, the progressive release of muscular tension throughout your body. Those are three suggestions or sets of instructions or matters of evidence, you could say, or proof that I'm actually safe, I'm not in danger. Look, you're saying to the brain or the subconscious mind, I can close my eyes. How much danger could be here? As a matter of fact, look at my breathing. It's slow and deep. I mean, how much real danger could there be if I could breathe like this and with my eyes closed? And look at these muscles. See, to me, that's three bits of evidence that any stress or anxiety you've been experiencing is just confusion and overstimulation. I probably shouldn't minimize it and say just confusion and overstimulation, because it kills in the long term if we don't learn to manage it. But it's not the kind of danger that our ancestors had to survive when they were dealing with an autonomic fight-or-flight response. Anything that was confusing, they assumed was danger, and often they were right. And so if they were real sensitive to the snap of a twig, they went into fight or flight. The adrenaline starts pumping, and the heart and the respiration increase, muscles get tight. Great. They survived. We're the offspring, the benefactors of that process of natural selection. But we need to reprogram, you see, because we're not in that much danger anymore. It's much more likely, as I've said, to be confusion. And so we need to substitute a relaxation response for the automatic fight or flight. You need to consciously step in, let go of the fight or flight tendencies with a breath, close your eyes, feel the letting go, and then employ some of these techniques that we're describing to allow yourself to feel safer, more relaxed, and to move into these levels of mind between awake and asleep where a number of things happen. But I think since we're going to focus on a theta meditation today, Steve, can we talk about it primarily as a state of receptivity, of being open to realization and revelation and insight and illumination and understanding? It's almost like what we're doing is making ourselves a path of least resistance.
And it begins with feeling safe. Because once we have that, then all that other stuff can come through. And the irony is, we are, as you said, almost always safe. And yet the only time we're not safe is when we're being endangered by people who also think they're not safe. There's no danger from anything other than people who think they're unsafe, really. So when we can close our eyes and other people are out there and we're in here, there's no longer any danger. When we go to sleep at night, we wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night if we thought there was danger. We have a survival mechanism. So when you can close your eyes, take those deep breaths, move a little bit towards sleep, your mind goes, danger's off for now. We don't have to deal with danger. We can feel safe, and now we can move into that state of receptivity. And any thinking that happens, you can just pay attention to what it is you want to pay attention to. One of my favorites, as I said, is breathing. Another one of my favorites is just having an intention of, I've been there before. I know what it's like to be in that almost asleep place, so I just put my mind on that place, and I just have the intention of going back there. If you're a napper, then you know the place we're talking about. When you take a nap, you don't fall all the way to sleep. That's the purpose of a nap, is to go almost to sleep, and you get into this state. If you're a regular prayer, and you pray regularly, then you know this state. If you're somebody who's really good at spacing out, then you know this. You lose sense of time, you lose sense of your body. Like, where did those 15 minutes go? That's the state. It's not an uncommon state. Most people use it to space out. We're talking about using it to space in, and we're talking about using it to space into being receptive. And when you are receptive in that state and you do feel safe in that state, what comes through is love.
I think it's also important to mention here that you're going to have the benefit in a few minutes of hearing Steve and I do, as we always do in each one of the programs in this series, a narrative, a guided meditation or guided imagery exercise. Now, there are many kinds of meditation. Many people believe the only meditation or the best meditation or the right meditation is what has always been called contemplation, which is an emptying of the mind, a letting go or detachment from all thoughts and feelings, a kind of a step back to the bigger picture where you see yourself thinking, but you're not the thoughts. You're the part that could agree or disagree with the thought. You want to have some fun with people. Play with the phrase, it's anonymous, I don't know who gets credit for it, but play around with the phrase, you don't have to believe it just because you think it, or just because you thought it, you don't have to believe it. Or what did you say?
Don't believe everything you think. You think wrong things every single day.
Say that to your friends. You're going to double take. Most people believe they are what they think and they feel. The idea that you could take a step back and say, well, do I believe that thought? Is that true? Is it partially true? Is it a 70-30 truth, a 60-40 truth?
What's 60-40 truth or 70-30 truth? I was thinking a false statement is that the sun revolves around the earth. A true statement is the earth revolves around the sun. And a partially true statement is I understand women. 40%, 20%. There's a lot of things that are sort of true and sort of not true.
The difference between absolute truth and relative truth is really important in philosophy. And you always have to be aware of people who believe that all truth is absolute.
Yes, vanilla ice cream, chocolate ice cream argument is a relative truth, not an absolute truth.
There are rainbows between black and white. That's come to be known as binary thinking now, and well-educated people, professionals, attorneys, and doctors, and sometimes real common folks figure this out and what a horrible trap it is and how it really tends to be a function of stress. The more stressed you are, again, the more stimulus and chaos is going on in your brain, the more likely you are to see all of your choices as limited to true or false, either or. Media compounds this. This is a very Fox News thing to do. And, the nuance of the third way or of permutations and combinations and embracing differences. This is what you're supposed to go to college for. This is where you learn the humanities and the liberal arts, and you see that which is different, not as always in opposition and threatening, but actually quite enriching. It's an important concept in philosophy, and it's essential in the work we're doing here because it's all relative. It's all this work we're doing. How relaxed are you? Am I there yet? There is no there. Every experience you have will be a little bit different. But I just wanted to point out that contemplation is a wonderful exercise and a worthy goal, and it advances one spiritually in many ways, but it's exceedingly difficult, and it's not the only type of meditation. So on your own, you may wish to replay one of our programs and use them in that way again and again and again. You may want to do your own internal narrative as you become more skilled, using pictures or silent but internal voices that you hear. And, of course, it's your voice talking to yourself. You know how to do that. Or working on a feeling level. There's just so many ways to experiment with visualization and mantra and chanting out loud and silent prayer, and there's just so much here. Be flexible, and rather than try to find the one right meditation or contemplation or the one best way, be a collector. Use a little of this and a little of that and learn from other people, even if they insist their meditation is the only real meditation. You can know in your heart that you're an educated person, you're sophisticated, and you want it all, and you'll think for yourself and sort through what works for you, and maybe this technique over here isn't appropriate today, but in a week, my goodness, that's exactly what I was looking for. So let's be as inclusive as we can and recognize we're talking about levels of awareness experienced by individuals. So, again, we'll have some shared experiences, but primarily these are unique experiences in these deeply relaxed states.
And while it is all relative, one thing is consistent, and that is it takes longer to do theta than it does to do alpha. It takes 15, 20 minutes to do a theta experience, whereas you can do alpha in seconds or a minute or two. So we're going to get started on a deepening process of taking you through paradise into deeper levels of paradise, into that place where you're receptive and open and safe, and the place that you can allow yourself to experience greater and greater feelings of compassion, stronger and stronger feelings of love. So it all starts with one deep breath, followed by closing your eyes and imagine yourself in your own special way, in your own special paradise.
In Eastern philosophy, the word for heaven is nirvana, but it translates literally as a sigh of relief. It's a sigh of relief is a sigh of release. So anytime you'd like, you can take a nice, slow, deep breath, filling yourself with strength and power, hold for a moment, and then the nirvana, the slow letting go. Feel the letting go in your body as you let go of the breath, exhaling fully and completely. And if you haven't already, close your eyes and feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed.
And with every breath that you release, you become more and more relaxed. And with every breath that you release, you come to feel the peace. Now put into your mind a clear intention of the place you wish to go. Imagine yourself almost asleep, feeling safe, feeling at peace. Imagine yourself. Get a picture in your mind. This place where you're almost asleep. And know that's the destination. That's where we're going to go. It's safe. It's easy. It's a downward flow. So notice how your body becomes more relaxed, your emotions more calm and at peace, and your mind is quiet, focused and clear. And you know you want to go to that place where you're almost asleep. And every breath that you release takes you deeper.
Notice as you feel safer and more relaxed, as you seem to go deeper and deeper, moving in the direction of sleep, how you tend to feel more sensitive. Now your mind might tell you that that's vulnerability, but there's nothing to fear here. You're safe and relaxed, and your eyes are closed. And so even if it occurs to you that this sensitivity is a vulnerability, since there's no danger, you can allow yourself to be ever more sensitive to feelings in your body. And as you feel them, you let them go. If the feelings are positive feelings, and most of them will be warm and fuzzy and safe and content and fulfilled and satisfied, and let them go. And they just grow. They don't go anyplace. They stay here and grow. And anything that feels at all uncomfortable or confusing or causes you to be even a little apprehensive, respect yourself for that sensitivity and let that go. Because it's born of anxiety, it will vanquish. As you become more sensitive, going deeper and more relaxed, continue to let it all go. The good stuff, let it go. It'll remain and grow. Anything that confuses you or concerns you, let it go as irrelevant and feel it falling away.
And notice how you continue to go deeper. With every breath you release, deeper in safety, deeper in peace. And what you feel in this safe place is lovable and loved and loving. Feeling lovable, loved, and loving. want to notice where those feelings emerge. Loved, lovable, and loving. Where in your body? Is it a trickle or surge? Feeling lovable, loved, and loving. Feel it in your face and all over the place as you let yourself go deeper and deeper down. Feeling safe as you move closer to sleep. Feeling safe as your body releases any tension that remains. Feeling safe as your emotions calm and quiet down too. Feeling safe with every breath. Every breath you release, you go deeper and deeper down, deeper and deeper down, and even deeper and deeper down.
Reflect for a moment on the understanding that you now realize so clearly that when you let go of everything, what remains is love. And when you let go of love, it remains. And when you let go of everything that is not love, love remains. And here's the proof. This is the experience of connection to all things. Feeling the embrace and the various qualities of love, like beauty, safety, inspiration, generosity, tolerance, kindness, and compassion, forgiveness. The qualities of love that remain in this safe and relaxed place. A truth that when you let go of everything, the one thing that remains is the all-inclusive love. Love, truth, reality.
All love flows through. Your own love for you. Feeling lovable, loved, and loving. All love flows through. Your own love for you. And as your own love for you does increase, you feel powerful inner peace. Feeling lovable, loved, and loving. And you find that the deeper you go, the more love that you let flow. Love, lovable, and loving. And remember these words, so true. All love flows through your own love for you. So let your own love for you increase, and you'll feel safer and more at peace.
And because love is everywhere equally present and an effortless enterprise, you can bring it with you with no effort whatsoever. In fact, you can also bring with you your ever-expanding awareness of what love really is, that which remains when everything that's not love is released. And so, gently and effortlessly, simply by forming the intention to bring these feelings with you back into your waking state, I want you to think of yourself as getting into the basket of a beautiful hot air balloon as I count slowly to 5. And when we reach the number 5, at that time, we'll ask you to open your eyes wide awake with a very complete and detailed memory of this whole experience and an appreciation, heartfelt, of its value. And so as we count 1, imagine casting off the tether and dropping maybe a sandbag or 2 as you begin to float gently higher and higher.
2, feel yourself come more in touch with your body. Notice your fingers and toes as you become aware of yourself as you rise higher and higher in this beautiful balloon.
3, drifting above the treetops now. What a wonderful feeling to just drift and now see from horizon to horizon as you look all around you, ever-expanding horizons as you continue to float so gently higher and higher.
4, becoming aware of the outside surroundings and becoming accustomed to the room you're in, ready to bring yourself back to full consciousness.
5, eyes open, wide awake, back in the room. Take a nice, slow, deep breath, just a big... and then that nirvana, that sigh of relief, that is a sigh of release. Feel the letting go, and welcome back from Theta Land.
Yeah, and bring something back with you, a memory of that place, a sensation from that place so that you can hone in on it in your return. That's one of the easiest ways to go someplace is to go back to a place you've been before, so bookmark that place for yourself in your mind and find a way back. The theta is it's not that convenient. I mean, it takes 15, 20 minutes to do. It's not something you can do at, any old time. There are restraints, but boy, if you can find some time in your life, make some time in your life to, sit down and do nothing, to do the unwind thing for 15, 20 minutes. Unless you're super stressed, 15 to 20 minutes will take you down to a much more relaxed place. Maybe not all the way to theta the first few times you try it, maybe, but even the deep alpha state is really healthy and really relaxing. And 10 or 15 minutes, at least that takes to get down to theta. For most beginners, usually about 20.
So the advantage of this program is that it's longer, and you might think, oh, well, this would be for somebody who's a skilled meditator only. Nah, you give this to your friends who've never meditated in their lives and don't even know what the word means and say, well, we're talking about brainwave levels, actually, between awake and asleep, and then use the gadget on our website, focusedpassion.com, to forward this program, and for that matter, any other program to these people. But if you have somebody in mind that you think might really enjoy this particular program, then go to focusedpassion.com. Some of you haven't been there in a while because you listen to the podcast from iTunes or some podcatcher. It's focused with an ED, the w's.focusedpassion.com. And then just log in, and right below the built-in player that'll always be there for you is a gadget that says send one to a friend or share one to a friend, and you just enter their name and email, and we'll send them a link to the program.
Yeah, there's a lot of great programs that you might not have heard. We have over 100 in the archives, so the button next to that one is Show Me the Unpurchased Podcast. You can check those all out for 99 cents a piece as well. So the bottom line here is this is for you and for you to send to anybody that you care about, anybody that needs a little help with solving their problems or healing their heart.
And so, as we like to say at the end of each program, be gentle, love life, and take care of each other. For Steve Snyder, this is Michael Benner. Aloha from Maui.